So this is the recruiTECH podcast by professionals for professionals about recruitment and technology. I'm Peter Civin, a senior brand and communication advisor at Deutsche Telekom IT Solutions Hungary. I'm a marketeer of 27 years, and I'm an employer brander and a recruitment communicator for 5. I'm not sure if these are words, but honestly, I don't care. I'm really excited to be here because we are going to have a great discussion about AI and how it relates to recruitment and trends there. And also we are going to talk about some other stuff simply because I'm interested in that. And we have a really exciting guest for us. We have Stanislaw, and we agreed how to pronounce your last name. And
Just give it a shot. Anything is all right with me.
Stanislaw Wasowicz.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. You're too kind. I know it's not perfect, but this is the closest we get. And you are the Vice President of Growth and Partnerships at Scotty AI, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, but you do have quite a bit of history. You have been at the forefront of talent acquisition and innovation for almost 2 decades. Is that right?
Man, I think I'm older than I look, so let's not go there. Let's say I've been in the industry for quite a while, longer than most people would expect.
and I understand that you have been instrumental for the success of several renowned market leaders like RGF and Smart Recruiters before joining Scotty AI, right? You don't have to respond to that. I was told that you were instrumental.
Okay, yeah. No, I had a really good ride there. Yeah, I love that.
Probably
good
true.
Experiences. Vonk as well, need to shout them out. That was a really nice stint in between RGF and Smart Recruiters, and these guys are doing pretty well as well today.
All right. So congratulations on all of these. And yeah, we are here to talk about all these things, all the things that AI can do for recruiters. But there was one thing when I was preparing for this discussion that I found on your LinkedIn page, because LinkedIn is the thing that you look up your talking partner on LinkedIn, right?
Of course, yeah.
So actually, about 3 years ago, you were publishing an article, and you were saying that talent acquisition isn't a cost center. It's a revenue driver. The better you're able to show this, the better funded you will be. Do you still stand by that statement?
100%. I thoroughly believe, as a creed from my previous business, that hiring success equals business success. And the better the recruitment team is able to align itself with business outcomes, really showcase how hiring outcomes impact those, the more seriously it'll be taken by everyone that needs to deal with, whether it's finance or management. That's the key denominator. Am I driving business outcomes?
And how do you do that? I had a discussion 20 some years ago with a finance guy, and I was trying to explain to him that instead of calling it marketing costs, let's call it marketing investments.
I love that.
And he got really upset. He was like, that's not an investment. When we do the bookkeeping, it ends up in cost. So it was really difficult to form that. How do you suppose a recruiter should be able to formulate the opinion within the company?
They need to understand their part in the value chain. They need to look beyond the spectrum of what they're set up to do. They need to break free out of looking at metrics that might be relevant for them to understand their process. KPIs like time to hire or cost per hire, that type of stuff, even the quality of it. What they really need to understand is, have my actions allowed my company to build products more quickly, or to sell more of them, or to deliver more of them? And most businesses, small and large, have this data available in the business. So here's where this function of talent intelligence also really comes in, right? Where you can relate the actions that I'm taking as a recruiter, the funds that I'm raising, the time that I'm putting in, the various functions that I'm creating. Can I relate those to how the business is actually impacting its end customers? Mm-hmm. And that's looking beyond just the scope and the limitations of your specific department. Going out there, having those conversations, getting the data, and being able to aggregate and showcase it effectively.
And how do you measure that? The closest I ever got to this, when I was talking to a sales leader about recruitment, actually, I was telling him that an empty headcount does not sell. But that's only about time. But recruitment is much more than doing it quickly, right?
Of course. You want to get the right people in. You want to, in sales, show if the hires that you're getting in, how quickly they're ramping, how quickly they're on target, how long they stay, how they develop, if they train other people, if they go into different roles. These are all things you can measure these days. And really back-end sales is the easiest one probably because it's right there in the CRM. But most product development and R&D these days also, has design sprints and product reports, and they can quite effectively timestamp future roadmaps and the impact that the hire has on them and the impact that they've made on getting something created and delivered. It's harder, but it's very, very possible. Logistics is fairly easy, where it gets a bit harder is when you're recruiting for research roles or that's type of stuff, has this person researching this specific subject really led to the company becoming more efficient? But even in those situations, data is eating the world, and we'll probably talk about AI somewhere in this conversation.
We will, trust me.
So it's getting easier and easier to have an AI agent, to do these calculations for you and these really abstract pieces of research. Just ask the AI agent, explain to the AI agent what you're doing. Explain that you want to understand what the impact of it is, and put the AI agent to work to get the data from all the different systems and get all that unstructured, messy data, structure it, aggregate it, and come back with some kind of report in a table or in a graph or in a PDF. That's where we're going to. And the better you get at that, the easier it'll be for you to, again, report on the impact that you're making.
So I'm not sure if you're implying that, but I would love if you did, is that with the current capabilities of AI, we would actually be able to measure individual delivery per person
one of the
to the company results. So we would be able to say that, hey, you cost this much to the company and you delivered this much.
Yes.
So this is how much you added to the profit.
Yeah, you're hitting the nail on the head. Like, if there's one big benefit about AI, is that data doesn't lie.
No, that's one benefit.
One of my first managers, I have to quote this, when I was 19, said everyone has opinions, and they're just like no. Opinions are opinions are like buttholes. Everyone has them and they all stink. And it's so true, man. You're trying to get stuff done, and Cotter wrote this book, "Help Our Iceberg is Melting," and he has this penguin on this iceberg that's melting, and one penguin wants to save all the other penguins, and there's one penguin called No-No, and No-No has a heck ton of opinions, and it's all against what the guy trying to save the colony is trying to fix. There's no better way in your organization to shut your no-no up when you're trying to innovate and transform than coming in with data. And what does AI do? Because it's all around us. It's in our devices. It's in our system of records. It's in every process being infused. It creates an incredible level of observability that we didn't have before, right?
I think it's really about observability and understandability. So whenever you or I would be talking about data, we would be talking about aggregates and averages, etc., because we wouldn't be able to hold all the data in our heads,
or make the relations.
Or figure out the relations. But we need to aggregate because we hit our capacity at a certain point.
As a human mind.
Yeah, and AI doesn't have that. So AI can look at things and in its entirety, in its extreme complexity,
there you go.
and draw conclusions.
And it can do more. Like, this is we already could draw pretty good conclusions in the machine learning era, but now we're moving towards predictiveness, which is already a huge step forward. If you continue with this, Peter, it'll probably turn out like that. And you can look at that and you can go like, maybe I shouldn't do that, or maybe I should do more of it. But what we're working towards is actual prescriptive AI. And that's much, much more interesting, because now it won't just predict, it will tell you, you should actually do this. These are 3 scenarios I calculated, and this is the most relevant one. And then if you create a business rule where you just tell the AI, whenever you find that sort of stuff, just go ahead and do it if it's better for me. And then once in a while, like an employee, I'll review your performance and we'll have a conversation about it. I'll adjust you to my specific preferences. Well, that's where we're heading towards, where everyone will have AI agents, not just in their professional process, but you'll have AI agents, ordering your food, managing your health, measuring your household, managing your holiday, your leisure.
Yeah. Okay. So there are certain things that we need to figure out before we do that. So first of all, hallucinations have become a huge topic. Whenever we talk about AI's answer, they are like the worst employee ever. So when you ask an employee a question, if she or he doesn't know, then you expect that I don't know, which which is a very difficult thing to say. But for AIs, it seems to be impossible to say. So we need to solve that. But let's say we solve that, right? So somehow we figure that out. We build an AI that actually says, I don't know if she doesn't, he doesn't, they don't.
I usually refer to it as
yeah,
it.
You did.
Yeah.
I was very much surprised by that. I heard your presentation at recruiTECH just a few hours ago. And first of all, I wanted to call you Scotty right after that because you were talking about an AI that really sounded like a human being. But on the other hand, you kept referring to that as an it. Is that a conscious decision?
I don't know. I think I'm a bit of a grammar junkie, and I think this is just the best way for me to describe it. But funnily enough, I do always thank it.
Yeah, I do that too.
I always thank it because when it becomes conscious, or it's already passing the Turing test, right? But when it reaches a level where it will go back like, hey, remember all this conversation we had? You're actually quite rude. Huh?
Yeah, but is that out of fear, or is it because it feels so human that
you don't want to go there too early in the podcast with me, man? Because for a person that sells AI, I'm quite worried about where we're heading if we do not create. If we accidentally create an AI that's not aligned with our best interests, it can be a very, very negative outcome for humanity.
Yeah, but Europe seems to be really good at that. So China seems to be very progressive in terms of AI progression because they don't really care about certain aspects that we do. And then the US is very much business driven, so they also care a little bit less. EU seems to be somewhat slower, but we may be a little bit more careful with how our data is being used, right?
Yeah, but if artificial general intelligence is created anywhere in the world, it won't take much time for it to become super intelligent. And I mean, again, we can go there, but we'll get philosophical very, very quickly. So if you want to keep it within the marketing,
it's very difficult to avoid philosophy. We won't take too much time.
I want to give 2 shout outs for the people listening, because this is a passion of mine. And if there are 2 camps of this world that you could go down the rabbit hole in and have a wonderful time developing yourself, philosophically when it comes to technological development. Ray Kurzweil, brilliant scientist, advisor to the White House, the predictor of what he calls the singularity, founder of Singularity University. Things will all become demigods, raised, And then Eliezer Yudkowsky, who predicts they're all going to be dead soon. And those are the 2 camps, and enjoy. But
let's take the more positive route.
Let's go back to marketing,
absolutely. So, what do you think in a positive world? We don't all die.
Yes.
We all become demigods or superhumans with the help of AI. How is AI going to help recruitment? How is it going to change the whole field? Because when I was listening to your presentation, and it was a good presentation. I was sitting there thinking, this is a good sales guy. But
thank you.
The way you did that, you started the presentation by saying that you were talking to recruiters, and the first thing you said, you're all losing your jobs in 5 years. And I kept waiting to hear you say that, no, I was kidding. You still have something. It's going to be different. You're not. You're tough. You don't have a job.
Gone. Yeah, the sourcer, the screener, the interviewer, the coordinator, the admin, these repetitive, simple tasks, they're gone, man. To go back to your question that led to this intro, I believe that hiring will become much more efficient. In every marketplace where there's a supply and demand, and in this specific marketplace is a supply and demand of work. Whenever there's a human in the middle, that's adding friction, that's adding inconsistency, unpredictability, emotional disparities, bias, many, many, many things that hurt experience and quality. And so my prediction is that by replacing that with technology, we'll create a much better experience for both candidates and the people that are trying to hire them. And we can create a much more qualitative, much more effective way of matching supply with demand in a way that for us currently is inconceivable as an industry. It will overhaul the process. I think it'll be more like jobs on demand, tailored to your specific, soft and hard preferences and needs in a predictive manner. Career paths, predicted almost 20 years ahead with multiple paths to go down, where AI will be a constant 24/7 assistant for both the employer and the job seeker at the same time, constantly interacting with these different AI agents that I mentioned before. That's what I'm predicting, where both sides are represented, inefficiencies are removed, quality and experience go up.
My boss, the CEO of Deutsche Telekom IT Solutions Hungary, played a little bit with ChatGPT, actually with 2 ChatGPTs. He set them up to talk to each other.
Those are always cool things.
You can do that. Actually,
I know. We do that all the time.
With ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And they were talking to each other, and he asked them. He started the conversation by trying to figure out how smart the other entity is that you talk to.
That's a cool concept.
And the feedback was, I think he's pretty smart. And when I was watching the video that he posted, I was thinking that the whole thing is so slow because we need to understand.
Yeah.
If there was another way for these guys to connect other than human language,
exactly,
it would be just so much quicker, right?
I always make the example about the entire tech stack that we're using right now. Who has that been made for, really? Damn sure hasn't been made for candidates. Like, candidates are the least important factor there because they don't pay our industry. No, most of the technology that we've made was made for the actual people in the middle. We've been optimizing for the HR professional, the recruitment professionals, maybe some reporting functionality for the CFO, but the actual architecture isn't set up for AI. AI doesn't need a freaking list or a Kanban board to know what status for stage people are in. It doesn't think in these 6 stages. It can think in much more abstract ways of matching skills and soft preferences to the right, cultural and business and long-term career aspirational, life aspirational fit. So this whole thing will be completely overhauled. Not only are we slowing AI down, does it need to come back to our level, the way we are thinking about the entire hiring process and stages and hire readiness and that sort of stuff is extremely more limited compared to the way that AI agents can think about it.
Okay, but what is it going to look like? So let's say it's extremely difficult to predict future, and it's even more difficult to predict when it's going to happen. But let's say it's far enough into the future that this whole AI-driven recruitment or job filling or whatever we might call it actually is happening. So what does it look like? Let's say I'm younger than today, graduate from college.
Yeah.
How do I find a job?
You don't have to look. It's already prepared for you. The AI has watched you grow up. It knows everything about you. It knows your leisure, your personal preferences, what drives you emotionally. It knows your network. It knows your passions, your interest levels are. It knows all of that. And then during your education, it learns even more about you. So when you graduate, you already have 4 options where you can start the next day. Maybe take a holiday in between. It's planned as well to maybe explore yourself mentally a bit more. You do a trip to Thailand, you backpack a little bit, you come back. All of that stuff is pre-planned. And let's say you're not a graduate. Let's talk about someone in the middle of their career. I gave this example during the presentation, but let me slow it down because I know that was a lot of information. It was quite fast. Let me paint this picture of the future that I fully believe will end up at some point.
Yep.
Not knowing exactly when. You wake up and you receive a text message and it says, "Hey, Peter, I have great news for you. 3 weeks from now, you're starting at Acme company. It's a 20K a year pay raise. And that project that side project you did that you loved, that's actually going to be 80% of the work you'll be doing now. And that stuff that you don't like, it's actually 99% gone. And the other 18% is also in stuff that, from my experience, you rated very highly cognitively. The going away party is already planned. That's actually happening 2 weeks from now. Because in the last week of your notice period, I booked a holiday for you and your family. It's about time that you take some time off with the family. You work so hard. Next week, though, Tuesday, your replacement is starting. I already informed the hiring manager. I informed your replacement. It's this and this person. Here's their profile. As always, if you have any questions about that, you can ask me anytime. I can go as deep about it as you want to. And you're like, "Oh, no, that's fine. That's amazing news. I'm cool." And you just head to your work. You finish your days. You switch. You make no decision. You don't have to make these decisions. You don't look for jobs. You don't read any job descriptions. You don't even care about meeting the team first or any of that nonsense because you trust the AI agent so much that it has the best interest for you. It's almost as if you were a small child and you trust your parents to send you to the right daycare.
There are a few things I don't like about this. Number one, I'm not a small child, I'm an adult, even in this scenario.
But compared to the AI agent, your mind is like that of an ant.
I don't like that. I like to be the superior being on this planet.
Yeah, that's something that you'll have to let go. You're already not.
Yeah, but that's difficult. And I don't think I'm alone with this feeling. So I think it's going to be difficult for everybody who's there. That's one. The other thing is that we live in a world where knowledge and being a professional in a certain field or an expert in a certain field is underrated. If you look at people who live in the US, have the financial means to access the most developed healthcare system in the world, they still go on Twitter or X and say, I have this problem, what do you think the best solution is? And they would rather ask a few million ignorant laymen than ask the best doctors that are there in the world, because they don't trust the expert.
True.
Why do you think people are going to trust an AI in this situation? Why aren't they going to say, no, I will look for a job, I know what's best for me, so you just don't tell me. And even if you find a really good one, because you're going to say, because AI finds the best one.
No, I'm not.
But I won't believe that.
I have an answer, but it's not that.
Yeah, but I'm enjoying the question too much for you.
No, come on, and hit me with more, because there are very good arguments.
So I think the challenge is that it's going to be very difficult to accept that someone else can find me a solution that I don't fully understand how it got to.
The reason for that is that you grew up in this world of choice and of not having this constant AI agent around you. Remember, we talked about the future. We didn't say when. Yeah. We are moving to a future where from the moment that you are born, you and everyone around you is interacting with AI constantly, and they are being supported and later just driven and coached in all of their behavior and everything they're doing constantly. And they're doing it because it's constantly giving them what they wanted. And if it doesn't, they adjust it a little bit and then it works again. If I would have had this podcast with you, well, pre-mobile, but then podcast didn't exist, but that's a radio show. If this was a radio show, way pre-podcast, I would have predicted a world where everyone's using smartphones all of the time. Be like, no way, Stan. I don't want to be connected all the time, 24/7, for people to reach me. I would have way too much information. Why would I want it? Why would I talk to someone through video on the phone? Anyway, you see the arguments. So all of the arguments that you're actually presenting are the same arguments that people had against mobile phones until you see this generation that grew up with them. They can't live without one. And the future generations won't be able to live without AI agents, I predict, and I'm pretty sure about.
I'm with you on that, but I think happiness in many cases is equated with the number of choices you have at the moment. So if you look at what we believe happiness is, it's usually that I have choices in the future. I mean, when you talk about,
we're getting philosophical again.
We are.
I love it. This is the only way you.
No, but I don't care if you love it or not. I'm going to stop it here. And
I love it. No, let's go. We're getting into the free will argument. So let's go. Let's make it.
Yeah, but if we get into the free will argument, we will never talk about because you're telling me that recruiters won't exist in the future, but at the moment they do.
Yeah.
So let's talk about them a little bit, because they are expected to listen to us, right? So not philosophers.
Of course.
So what do you think a recruiter should do now? Because you have painted a very scary picture. Should look for a job in a few years, probably.
Should transform.
But right now, what should a recruiter do? How should they approach AI?
A good industry friend of mine called Craig Payne from Foresight, he put it very eloquently that you are either a driver of change or change happens to you. So if I would be in a recruitment role right now, I would get involved with AI. But beyond the subject of AI and educating myself on AI, I would look at, well, what's the last thing to get automated? I think the last thing to get automated is people with a deep knowledge about, this will appeal to your marketing heart. What's different between company X and company Z that have the same type of demographics, same type of roles, same type of setup, same type of location, language, products, services, but there's still something different. What's different about them? Figure that out and put that into a brand. Identify the EVP. Become extremely effective in communicating that to the candidate target audience to filter out, actually, through AI, all the people that are likely not a fit with that, or to have them do it themselves, or their AI agents do it for them, and enable that far more effective, efficient hiring. No 200 applications to fill one job. 1-on-1, 1-in-2, 1-in-3, 1-in-4 are a direct, perfect match. The second thing is, no matter how much technology you throw at a bad people situation or a bad process situation, so now I'm talking about organizational structures, I'm talking about the actual value chain, the hiring process, the employee life cycle, it won't improve them. You need that trifecta of people, process, and tech. But within that trifecta, I'm predicting as these repetitive tasks become less important and all of the typing, mailing, that sort of stuff, the gut feeling is getting removed, the intuition is getting removed. Brand. I think brand will be incredibly important as the fourth element around those two. Like, let's say that people, process, and technology are the three dimensions of space, then the brand will be the fabric that, they constantly operate across. So if you want to have longevity within this industry, that's what I would specialize in, becoming more of a generalist, because you'll have the time. If you're liberated from all of the mundane tasks, you'll have the time to spend way more time with employees, candidates, hiring managers, hiring teams. And if you do use that time effectively, you will be able to tell the AI what to do more effectively. And that's, by the way, I think the last thing that humans will ever have to do before we're all liberated from work forever.
Yeah. You're getting philosophical, not me right now. It's your fault now. So
give it back to you.
What is the actual first step a recruiter should take? What is the process that you should be? AI. Is that a verb already?
Become AI literate, kind of understand what it actually can and cannot do now, but also understand how it's developing and get a grip for the speed that it's at. Understand what impact it has, understand legislation. That would be a big one. Just educate yourself. Like, how many AI channels are you following within your industry, but definitely also about it on Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn, or how many influencers, thought leaders are you following? Just understand what's happening. Point 2, make it small. You can do a million things with AI, but find something very small where with the minimum effort, you can already make maximum impact. For me, that's replacing recruiters in repetitive jobs. Coordinators, administrators, I won't mention the names here, but I'm closing a big account that's getting 65,000 applications in the region annually. They have 37 recruiters responding to those. Most of the times that they actually reach a candidate, they already have another job. The candidates are frustrated. the hiring managers are frustrated by putting our technology into that business, just to respond to applications instantly pre-screen, instantly schedule, not with the recruiter, but with the hiring manager or department head. We will automate within this year 32 of those people forever. Those people are earning, 50 grand with labor costs, 30 grand plus labor costs a year. So that's 1.6 million euro in payroll. We're going to do this case for 36,000 euro a year. And then a SaaS fee. So everything together, it will be like 50 grand. So they will have an ROI. The recruiter that founded that's the person that came to us asking if they could do this. They will show their CFO an ROI only on payroll of €1.5 million. They will show a much greater candidate experience by making it extremely small. Again, the only thing we're doing, reply to applicant, pre-screen 5 questions, schedule in for tour of the, I can't say.
Okay, I love the fact that you mentioned candidate experience, because you were saying that this whole industry is built around the recruiters right now because you want to cater to them. So how is the customer experience or candidate experience is going to change in this situation? How is it going to be different for the candidate?
Man, hugely different. Like, no more ghosting, instant answer. You instantly know within a minute of applying or 5 minutes of applying whether you're a fit or not. Very likely already moving forward. It's going to be much quicker, much more effective. The observability piece comes back again. Why was I rejected? For these exact specific reasons. And I'm not saying that like our AI, we have an AI orchestration platform on which multiple agents work, but we're not trying to solve everything. But let's say you want to do a cognitive test through a Selection Lab or Maki or Vervo or the Test Gorilla or who else we like in this space, a brick. Those systems, which I in the past thought were kind of snake oilish, now are becoming really good predictors of hiring success. And then maybe you want to test some hard skills like a HackRank, Codility, Code Signal. If you now have an AI that also does that, reads the results, and based on that is moving people forward, the people rejected can clearly see, oh, I was outscored by other people. It's super empirical why I was rejected, and I'll try something else, right? So
No. But try something else is cool. But even cooler is I was rejected because of that. So this is what I need to do in order to learn those things.
Yes, exactly.
Then you're delivering a whole new set of values.
I can tell you at that point, Peter, you can't do this job right now because you scored like this. But actually, if you do these courses and you send that back to me via WhatsApp, these results, and I see that you can code at this level, to just stay with that example, then I will have a job for you basically instantly.
Is it one AI solution for a company?
No, it's an army of agents. And I predict the future where it's becoming easier and easier to just build a conversational AI, right? It's our front end is still a lot of the conversational piece, but that's not where Scotty differs. We have 30, 40 competitors in our landscape that can do something chatting. Our partners, IT teams, and our end customers are rapidly going to move into building their own AI solutions for their own specific needs and purposes. Mm-hmm. But you need a platform to orchestrate all of that on. And that's where I think that we're going to. So you're definitely going to have one AI. I keep on coming back. You're going to have in your private life a little small army of AI agents. And in your professional life, you're going to have an army of AI agents. Your colleagues will have them, but your business, that obviously isn't a human, but it's an entity that also has goals and objectives. The business will have an army of AI agents that hire for it, sue for it, invoice for it, sell for it, customer support for it. It's all going to be AI agents, where all knowledge workers are going to be automated within the next X amount of years, and all physical workers are going to be automated by robots. I think the physical workers will stay the longest because that seems much harder. But knowledge work, that has the shortest horizon. And anywhere when there's a marketplace, again, I said that before, and there's a supply and demand, and there's a knowledge worker in the middle generating friction, those are the ones that are under the highest pressure of being automated out.
Okay, I do see the opportunity of becoming philosophical again. So let me drag you back.
Let's go back.
Because you're talking about almost cross-selling to customers, to applicants when you say this is what you need to learn and maybe you try another job, But you also have reverse cross-selling in a sense, so you can actually get the same applicant within the same company for a different role. So
we already do that. That's actually quite easy. So I can mention this by name because these guys are a reference customer. We have this company called PostNL. They're the Dutch Post, biggest mail delivery organization in the region. 35,000 people are screened by our AI. Many of them want to be a delivery driver because it's fun. It's dry. You listen to the radio, you deliver boxes. People are smiling. They receive the stuff that they need. It's usually not a letter, but something cool and big like a PlayStation 5, right? But you need to have a driver's license for 3 years to be able to do that. So if our AI screens someone that is a perfect fit in terms of everything except a 3-year driver's license, it will always cross-sell if there's a role available, like a reach truck driver in the warehouse. That's also driving, but requires less. So our data shows that 7 out of 10 times that we offer an alternative role, the candidates that those roles are offered to accept to be pre-screened for it and offered for it. Every recruitment director in the world listening to this, like, oh my God, my team, if I have them sitting at the same desk and they're recruiting for different roles, they won't even cross-sell to each other, let alone across departments or across geographies.
And I think that is a major game changer because as an applicant, you would assume that if these guys get my CV and they don't want me for this role, they obviously know that they have another job opening. Why on earth they don't? They have no idea. It's very difficult to have that simply because of our human brain capacity as discussed. Now, the other thing that I want to share with you about your product that you don't know, and there is a reason why you don't know that, because you were very kind to the Hungarian audience today and you ran a Hungarian demo of your product when actually a lady was applying for a job and having a discussion with Scotty, with your AI. Yeah. And it was in Hungarian, and at a certain stage, the Hungarians in the room laughed because it was funny. Now, you were talking about AI and Scotty as an AI not being biased, and that is very important. Doesn't see the color of your skin, your religion, your clothing, your sex, etc. And that's a good thing, and that's important. Now, it may be difficult for some people to realize why it is important, but actually, I think the Hungarians who listened and laughed must have realized that.
What
because
did it do?
the Hungarian, the situation that you demoed was actually a Hungarian young girl, 25-ish girl, applying for a job. And she was basically screened by Scotty, the AI.
That I knew.
Yeah, but the job was driving an 18-wheeler, a huge truck. And the reason we laughed was because we couldn't imagine
a
young girl driving an 18-wheeler.
But she had all the qualifications.
She had all the qualifications, yet we laughed. And this is the bias. This is the bias that we humans we ignore, but it's in us.
Exactly.
And it wasn't mean. It was nice, but still we are biased.
Yes, and Daniel Kahneman proved this, right? We're very, very programmable in his book, Thinking Fast and Slow. It's like incredibly interesting, again, for anyone that wants to dig into this stuff. And I would like to, about bias, I would like to touch on this subject, because anytime that AI comes along and bias comes along, someone still 3 years after the fact mentions the Amazon scandal, where Amazon had an AI selecting engineers. And at some point, the AI figured men are very likely better candidates because most of my engineering department are men, most of the people in the senior roles, most of the top performers are men. And someone found it out. Huge upheaval, rightfully so. What they don't say, right, after all of the big headlines, like Amazon shuts down AI, Amazon cancels, blah, 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 bias, all these, representational groups taking their time to shine, that Amazon fixed this in 3 days through a little bit of supervised learning, right? This was a bad implementation of AI, and it was told, don't do this anymore, and it stopped. And I give the example during the presentation, I want to give again, that in 2018, this investigative journalist company in the Netherlands called 71 of the largest staffing agencies, we all know their names, with a very simple job. Hey, we need a warehouse operator next week. But no black people, no Turkish people, no Moroccans, and no women. Half of the human respondents, these are consultants at these staffing agencies, oh, no problem. We have white male candidates available to start next week. I fully understand you. Huge scandal as well. Went all the way up to politics, and courses that people had to take were done. Senior executives were fired and resigned over it. So you think something would have changed. Last December, you see where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah, I think I do.
Last December, this student at the University of Amsterdam sent out his CV, these same companies, 24,000 times. He just changed the picture on his CV to look any of the genders or races that I mentioned, or he changed the name on his CV to represent any of these other minorities in Netherlands of different gender. And lo and behold, the exact same bias was proven again. The point I'm trying to make is an AI, it's not like a bot anymore. Indeed, that you program A to Z. It can hallucinate. It can make mistakes. It's like hiring an employee. So you definitely want to spend a lot of time implementing it correctly. Maybe a month, maybe 2. You want to test it rigorously. And even then, after you go live, it could make a mistake. So make sure there are some disclaimers when you're speaking to candidates or anyone that, hey, I can make mistakes and I would be corrected if I do. If you, user, find out that I'm doing anything that's not as it should be, let me know and I will instantly notify the right people so they can adjust me. The big difference between AI is that when you do adjust it, it'll be adjusted forever. And in our tool, like you so also rightfully said, we just program it during implementation to completely ignore age or gender or ethnicity or what a name sounds like. And these are still the main things that a lot of rejections happen about. And I know this is me speaking a lot, but I want to say one thing about rejections. Last week I was speaking at the recruitment conference. I did a similar presentation about the Kodak moment. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not sure I am.
So again, apologies for the long, but this will make a good point. 300 recruitment directors in the room, staffing especially. People associate Kodak with failing technology. Mm-hmm. And that's why they went from 90% market share to 7%. Yeah. But actually, they didn't fail. They invented the first digital camera in 1975, right? And then a great one in 1991. Then a few years later, they bought this photo sharing site called OPhoto, and they made it Kodak Easy Share. Mm-hmm. When they did that, the founders of Instagram were still at primary school and high school. They just never doubled down on this technology because it was cannibalizing on their physical film too much. And this guy called Christian Claytonson coined this as the innovator's dilemma. Mm-hmm. And we see a lot of that in staffing. When they see how AI is going to completely, make most of that business model obsolete. I mean, the top 3 reasons, there's always, with our customers, always someone that says, well, I have a 20 million contract right now with a staffing agency and you guys can do it for 400 grand. So you see where this is going, but they don't want to double down. But then when I explained this moment, there were a few people in the room that said, yes, but AI will never replace something that I have that I can't describe. It's like gut feeling, like intuition. I just know someone will fit well in that team. Now imagine, Peter, that AI was held to the same standards. You ask AI, why did you reject people? And if AI can't explain exactly why it did so, through the new AI Act and others, companies can receive significant fines. Mm-hmm. And the AI can be killed or shut down. If you go to a human that's been recruiting for 30 years, you're like, well, how many candidates did you reject? Can you explain exactly why? And they can go to court and they can say, well, I just had a feeling. I have 30 years of experience. I just had feeling. I just had some intuition. The judge says, that's fine then. So AI is being held to a much higher standard than humans are.
On that, I agree. I think we always expect higher standards from AI. If you talk about self-driving cars, or if you talk about anything like that,
those are great examples.
I think intuition is a funny thing. For me, the biggest challenge as a marketeer always was that I don't have intuition. So whenever I'm shown a concept of a TV commercial or initial drawing of what it's going to look like, I'm going to have a few KPIs or things that I look at and I say, does it fit, doesn't it fit? And that's pretty much it. And I don't trust my feelings, which is a flaw, which is unhuman to a certain extent. But what I was telling myself, that the others are probably more bullshitting than having actual real intuitions. I don't know. I have no way of knowing.
I agree with you. The only way to know if any marketing is good marketing is by launching it and seeing how people respond.
Measuring it, which is basically an opportunity to give it all up to AI, because if it can be measured, then it can be AI'd, right?
And that's why, again, I don't use this term very often, but when people ask us, especially investors, right, they like to think about the long term. They ask us, Stan, what are you doing? What are you building? I usually don't say AR orchestration platform. I call it a white collar automation platform. And what future do I predict?
That's a big
and what I'm doing in my career right now, I'm liberating people from work. I think it's the most noble thing that I can do, because if we indeed move to a world where physical workers have been liberated by robots and knowledge workers have been liberated by AI, we can actually spend time developing ourselves mentally, intellectually, socially, physically, philosophically, and we will look back at people that had to work in the past the same way our generation looks at people in freaking coal mines.
Yeah,
I'm living hell.
I'm with you. I think there is a chance that getting to the point that you're describing is going to be difficult times, but I think we all can agree that it's going to be the most difficult for those who try to stop it, right? Because eventually it's going to happen to them as opposed to they driving it.
The business case is just too obvious from a cost and a quality perspective, so I don't see any other way.
I don't think we can finish this discussion, but we need to stop it now because we are basically out of time. So thank you so much. It was so much fun. And for those of you who lost your attention because your attention span is too short because of what? Let's not go there. Another philosophical opportunity. So this was the recruiTECH podcast by professionals for professionals about recruitment and AI. With Stan Wasowicz, Vice President. Thank you so much. Vice President of Growth and Partnerships at Scotty AI. And I am, of course, Peter Civin, Senior Brand and Communication Advisor at DTITSHU. If you like this, then please consider following recruiTECH podcast everywhere, not on the streets, but on Spotify, YouTube, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcast. And let's try to continue this discussion online. Thank you so much. Thank you, Stan.
Thanks for having me. It was a real pleasure. Thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.